Hey people, I was listening to a podcast yesterday which is called Vi Bilägare. It's a Swedish podcast based on a Swedish car magazine, and they were talking about some of these journalists are judges on the Car of the Year jury, which this have been running since the 70s or something. You know, it's a lot of cars are collected, and then journalists test everything and they end up selecting one car which gets the honor Car of the Year. Then you have European Car of the Year and World Car of the World and so on. Among these year's contestants were the Hyundai Nexo. For those of you who don't know, the Nexo is a fuel cell electric vehicle, and it's built like that from the ground up, so it's not a conversion. Their previous car, the iX35 they built a few years ago, was a converted gasoline car, so they tossed out the motor and the drivetrain and all that and replaced it with some fuel cell stacks and hydrogen tanks and a compressor and so on. Now, and one of these journalists who have been running this game a few years now told a story about how he 15 years ago or something was on a runway in Germany for Ford, or rather Ford had flown them down there to test a Ford Focus FCEV, fuel cell electric vehicle, now, or hydrogen fuel cell car. Ford said then this was 05 or something. The point is that they said it would be the car of the future in about 10 years time. That didn't happen, and as we all know, we know that BMW have run fuel cell cars, both converted traditional internal combustion engines to run on hydrogen, which you can do. You lose a lot of power, but it's possible. And conversions built on fuel cells. Now, and then they continued to talk about the Nexo. It's a good car and all that stuff. It's basically an electric vehicle with about 600 kilometers range that you can fuel in 5 minutes if you can find somewhere to fuel it. Now, what they concluded with was that this was still a bit early. It was still maybe car of the future. Now, we've been saying that the fuel cell is the car of the future for the last, what, 30 years or something like that? 20 years definitively, minimum 25, and it's still the car of the future. Now, I have nothing against hydrogen. I love it. It's brilliant, it's fabulous. Yes, you have a lot of energy losses in the conversion to get the hydrogen, and then you have to run it through the fuel cell and so on. So the total efficiency of it isn't all that high. It's still much higher than an internal combustion engine, mind you. But if you can extract the hydrogen with surplus wind or solar energy, which you can, which is done several places, then the fact that it still isn't as efficient isn't really, it sort of negates that point, you know, it takes it away a bit in a way. But I mean, this Nexo and also the Hyundai Mirai, which came 3 or 4 years ago, I think, sort of heralded to be one of the first hydrogen fuel cell cars you could buy. No one bought it, and Toyota didn't want you to buy it because it was too expensive, because of the fuel cells, which are still expensive to manufacture and to mass produce. You can't basically really mass produce it at an affordable price, so most of these cars are leased. Now, today we have, and within the next 5 years, you will have a basic range on battery electric cars of 400 to 500 kilometers, maybe even more than that. And that would sort of kill range anxiety, and by that time I think you would have probably also, at least in Europe, hopefully several other places, you will have high speed charging infrastructure to support that. The Kona and the iPace and so on would just the sheer time it would take to charge them to any meaningful rate. It's simply too long on today's 50 kilowatts chargers. But we are there today with the Kona and the coming cars the next few years. And given that hydrogen is still the car of the future, I think hydrogen fuel cells are great I think airplanes, they could do a good job, because you could use the tanks and balance the plane, and it would get lighter, and it would sort of flight, how should I put this? The physics will function as it does today. With a battery you have a constant weight, which is in a plane isn't a very good thing. Hydrogen would work very good there, I think. But that's just my thoughts. And on a trailer, on a long hauler for instance, because you have a different use case. And you can't build massive megawatt chargers everywhere. I know you can have battery backup and all that. Hydrogen is a good energy bearer after all. And I think that would fit the trucking industry very well. As an option, of course. Sure, you can have battery trucks on the short to medium haul, but for the long haul, then I think battery could play a big role. Oh, sorry, not battery, hydrogen. And of course, they have to keep working to get the costs down. They have done tremendous breakthroughs the last 10 years, but still not mainstream. And then you have where to fill these things. Of course, if you have 1,000 kilometers or more of range on a long hauling truck, that doesn't really matter, because you can build an infrastructure along the highways. It is popping up hydrogen fuel stations in Germany and other places in Europe, but not even close to a long shot of where it should have been if this were to be the future. And you can say that, okay, look at Europe, look at charging infrastructure in Europe, it's a mess. Yeah, it's a mess in the sense that it might be too short, too few, some places, but given that what Norway has built up in 5 years, it's fully possible to do so, and it's easier because they have electricity almost everywhere. And you can get electricity. You have this, you have the technology, you have the facilities, basically. And it's easier to maintain and easier to, you know, electricity is electricity. You don't have to gather electrons first and all that stuff. So just something that came to mind when I heard the podcast. So I don't know, what do you think? What uses does hydrogen have, if any? Do leave a comment and a like and subscribe. And yeah, see you next time. Bye.